Well, guess what, guys? It's been a long time, but Vicky and I forgot to turn the sound on when we started making this video. So, unfortunately, as painful as it is, especially for me, we are going to have to do a voiceover on this whole video. It's going to be somewhat self-explanatory. What I'm doing here is I'm just talking about a big collaboration that I've got coming up with a YouTuber, and talking about the boards. I'm using redwood, 2-inch redwood, and I'm going to this video is going to be all about laminating this 2-inch redwood up. And I'm talking here about these Bessie clamps that I got. These clamps come in sets, and then you just put the pipe. You buy the pipe separately, and they're really cool clamps. I really like them. So I'm kind of talking about this, and I'm going to set my boards. And what I did on these boards, I think Vicky's going to zoom in here in a minute, but I set all these boards and I milled them all down. I ran them through my thickness planer, and then I also ran them through the jointer, and then matched them all up so they've got a good tight seams on all the boards. And I actually numbered them from 1 to 8. So I pick out the best side, and then I put them up, and then I match them and joint them all down. So you can see there, I mark the face. That's what the F is for. And then I number them 1 through 8 on this. Now, in the past, what I've done when laminating boards, I've done them in sections, so then I can run them through my planer, my 12-inch planer. But in this one, I decided I'm going to glue this all up as one solid board. So you can see there, they're numbered 1 through 8. Now, what I'm going to do is, what I realized when I started making this video here is that I didn't lay paper down. So this scene is going to end here in a few seconds, because I got to take this all off the bench and put paper down, so I don't get glue all over the top of over the top of my bench. But again, I'm using redwood, and everything is milled down and pretty much ready to go. And so I'm going to put a series of clamps on here, and this is I'm actually kind of stalling for time here because I'm almost at the end of this scene where I'm going to put the paper down. So we'll be right back. One thing I didn't mention is, when you're doing something like this, the biggest thing that you have to do is just try and prepare as much as possible. In the past, when I've did big glue ups like this, my biggest thing is I just tried to rush through it, and I didn't prepare everything as much as I should have. So that's the biggest thing when you're when you're getting ready to do something like this. So get all your clamps ready. I'll be bringing out some calls here in a little while, and I'll kind of talk about that when we get there. But the biggest thing is preparation, guys. Have your paper down. Make sure, like I spent probably 10 or 15 minutes kind of cleaning out my my glue bot, because the glue had sat in there for a while, so I had to loosen up the glue. I had to kind of clean it out and make sure it was ready to go. If I had not done that, then it would have really been a mess, and the glue wouldn't have flowed very well. So it really is, it's so much in preparation. Now, I talk a lot on here about the fact that normally I use, or a lot of times I use, the Gorilla Glue, but what I'm using here is the Tite Bond 3, because this is going to be an indoor sign, number one. And number two, which the Tite Bond would be good outside or indoor, doesn't really matter. But the biggest thing is, I really had some nice seams. So the thing about the Gorilla Glue is in the fact that it kind of expands. So if your seams aren't really good, it will kind of fill up gaps for you in between your joints. And in this particular case, all of these seams really had a nice tight fit. The other thing is that I didn't mention in the beginning is, you guys, you know we don't edit very much, and this is this voiceover thing is not really my deal. Here you're seeing Vicky's arm coming in there because she wanted to play with our new little brushes. Those brushes that we're using, we got those actually as free gifts from the Workbench Con. They were the little Rockler glue brushes for spreading glue, and she had one too, so she wanted to get in there and mix some glue and push some glue around as well. So but anyway, I'm not using the Gorilla Glue on this just because I've got really good seams. The other thing that the Gorilla Glue is kind of cumbersome is that it doesn't clean up real easily, whereas this, you'll see, once I'm done with the gluing this all up, I'm actually going to wipe it down with a wet rag, because when this glue is wet, it's water soluble. As you know, I'm kind of speaking to the choir. You guys probably all know this, but if you guys are brand new to laminating boards, just remember the preparation. Put everything together dry first. Get everything set up. Get all your clamps ready. You don't want to be fumbling for that stuff when you've got glue that's trying to set up. It's a pretty cool day today, so I'm not worried about it's not like 110 degrees temperature out here in Arizona like it will be in a couple months. So it's pretty mild, so I've got a lot of time to work with this stuff. With the Gorilla Glue, you don't have near as much working time as you do with the tight bond here that we're using. So and the Type Bond is again, it's a excellent glue. I think I'm using Type Bond 2, or maybe it's Type Bond 3, but it's excellent glue. And these little brushes, actually, I was using a roller before when I was doing it, and I love these little brushes, and everybody seems to really dig these little brushes, so I'm probably going to use them a lot more. So here we're just getting it, making sure that all the glue is completely covering every bit of little speck of surface on the edge of these boards. And actually, it looks like I'm adding a little glue to places that were a little bit sparse in glue. So that's the thing, is you want to make sure and have more glue rather than less. Oh, sorry about the dogs. Dogs are in the background. I'm sitting at my desk, and the dogs evidently are fired up about something. But again, we don't edit, so you guys ought to be used to that. Oh my gosh, I hate this voiceover stuff. I hope we never do this again. But anyway, so I'm kind of sticking them together, making sure that I've got a good, nice, tight fit, moving those boards a little bit, kind of sliding them, making sure that they suck up next to the board next to it, and then I'll put a series of clamps on here. Again, these little Bessie clamps, guys, get yourself some of these. Now, I know a lot of guys are using the big square. And I don't even know the brand name or anything. I think I've got a couple that are made by Irwin, but they're the different kind of clamps. But these Bessie clamps, honestly, they're fairly inexpensive. They're not real expensive like the other real fancy clamps are, and they do a good job. Now what you're going to see here is the board is starting to bow a little bit because the glue is starting to cause those boards to slide, and you'll see that one. Looks like the third board from the left is kind of up right now. I'm going to push it back into place, and then that's what these cawls. Now these cawls are I got them covered with packing tape, and they're just pieces of redwood. They're about 3/4 inch thick, and they're actually the trim off the boards when I was milling my lumber for this big sign. So they're just basically trim boards, and I completely covered them with that 2-inch packing tape. That way the glue, when the glue dries, it doesn't stick to these boards, and they should pop off really easily. So I'm going to put 3 clamps on each of these cawls on both sides, and I'm just using my little basically little bar clamps for that, and they work out really, really well. So this board, I didn't talk about who this sign is for. It's for a big YouTuber, and I'm going to announce that probably within a couple of videos. But this is going to have elements in this sign that I've never done before. So I'm really excited about it. We've got some really cool processes that we're going to do on here. These are approximately 27 inches long. But I'm not worried about them all being even at the ends, because I'm going to be cutting that the whole thing into a completely different shape. All I need is within an inch or two at both ends, because I'm just cutting a shape. I've got it way long on both ends, so I'm going to be cutting a special shape out of this. So you can see now I'm kind of fumbling. Vicky's trying to help me keep that caul in place while I get a clamp on that end. But it just takes, again, I had all my clamps pretty much set, and they were opened, and I make sure that they're that they're moving really well. If you've got glue kind of built up on these clamps, make sure and clean them off before you start your next project, or clean them off, even better yet, after you take them off of the board. This thing will probably set overnight. I'll bust it off the clamps, and I'll do that probably on camera on the next video. I'll be busting it off of those clamps, and that will be Monday's video, and then we'll start cutting shape, start doing the layout. Now here's an old, basically it's a bar clamp. This one I've had, it's a pony clamp actually. That's the brand name of this one, and I've had that for probably, gosh, 30 years. That's probably a 30-year clamp. I don't like it as well as I do the new Bessie clamps, but it is actually a really good clamp. Used it many times. So again, the cauls keep those boards in alignment. So, and you can see here I'm checking all the seams to make sure that they're not floating on me, and it actually is looks like it's going to be really good seams. So now I'm just going to go around and kind of tighten all those down, and make sure that they're all nice and snug as I'm doing. Now I think I'm going, and I'm going to get a wet rag and start wiping off all of the excess glue on there. And that, again, that's the one thing that I do. Another thing that I do like about the standard wood glue is that it wipes off really easily with a wet rag, so that when that thing dries up, I don't have a bunch of glue to be having to either chip off of there or sand off of there. So it makes a really nice cleanup. Hopefully, when I go out and pop this thing off of the clamps, it should make it pretty easily be able to sand that thing all down. I won't have a whole lot of glue to have to clean up on there, and I think it's going to make a nice board. So this thing is going to be, it's in essence going to, right now it is about 30 inches left to right from the way you see it here, and it's about 27 inches, I believe, lengthwise, front to back, from what you guys can see here. So now I think I'm going to tip that thing up and wipe off the back side. Let's see. And I was a little nervous about this. I was going to flip it all the way over, but with those bottom clamps, I figured I would just tip it up and wipe off that back side. So wipe off as much of that glue as you can while it's wet, guys. And again, it's just a damp rag. I just have a little bucket of water down in the bottom, and it's just a damp rag. So it should be a fairly simple cleanup for me. And the actual YouTuber collaboration that I'm doing this for is, he's got a big YouTube channel and actually a woodworking channel. So I'm very happy, and he's really a good guy. I'll be announcing his name here probably within the next couple videos. So I think now I'm kind of talking about the size, and then I'm gonna kind of go into my spiel at the end about liking our video if this was helpful for you. So I'll just do it here, but Man, this voiceover is this is killing me. It's just not my thing, guys. So I apologize for you guys if this is not what you're normal used to. And we will be back to the normal format on the next video. I guarantee that. But this was kind of a one-time shot, and I needed to get it all in. So anyway, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, we would love for you to subscribe, and don't forget to click that little bell icon. Make sure that you get notifications when we post a new video, which is 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then once a month we do a live broadcast the last Saturday of every month. Again, you know, if this was helpful, please share it with as many people as you can. We'd love to get a bigger audience. We just hit 20,000 subscribers, but you know, we're always looking for more. And if you have any questions at all, please email me directly at eric@makeawoodsign.com. I miss a lot of messages and pictures. If you send them through Facebook, I might miss them. So if you have pictures you want to send me for Sign Carvers of the Day, please send them to eric@makeawoodsign.com. And thanks again, guys. We so appreciate you watching and all your support. Hope you guys have a great weekend.